Parisa, hi, welcome to the Female Startup Club podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. I love your podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm excited too. I feel like this has been a year in the making since I probably first reached out to you. So I'm so excited to be finally here and sitting in front of you.
I know. I thought it'd be perfect end of the year having this conversation.
Yes, end of the year. I cannot believe that we are at the end of the year. It's gone by so quickly. How are you feeling about the year now, looking back and going through this reflection that I feel like everyone's posting reflection posts about 2022?
My reflection will be disaster, to be honest, because there's so much that has happened. But I have to be honest, I'm absolutely exhausted. It's just been the most challenging year of my life. And I'm not just talking about business, but personal and everything that's happening in the world. I mean, you have to be insensitive if you don't see what's happening in Ukraine and what's happening in Iran and kind of how that affecting you. But I'm a bit emotional about what's happening in Iran because I was born there. So, but I'm happy to see the back end of this year. So yeah, it's been a challenging year.
Gosh, on the business side of things, what are the kinds of challenges that you've been going through? It has been a crazy year, and I agree. It's so sad to have been watching what's happening in Iran and what's happening in Ukraine and dealing with that personal side of things, and then also having a business which is lots of ups and lots of downs.
Yeah, it's a lot of ups and downs. But to be honest, there's a lot of things that's happened this year. I think as well with the economy changing and investors' approach changing, Facebook not working as well. So there's been so many challenges from the beginning of this year to now. So I will tell you all about it.
Okay, we'll get into it. Let's go back to the beginning then and start at the beginning of your story. Where do you like to start your entrepreneurial journey and kind of this story with Maxbone?
So, to be honest, the reason why I even started Maxbone was because of my English bulldog. And before him, I didn't have a dog. So I really didn't know what it entailed to have a dog. I didn't know you needed dog beds and dog toys and crates and pee pads. And I know it sounds a bit stupid, but I really didn't know. And I just was so shocked about the industry and about the experience and the products that is out there. You know, he is a family member. I wanted the best products for him. So I got really intrigued about the industry. It's a $260 billion industry, and no one is making products for the new generation masses. You know, products that has quality, good design, and experience. So that's kind of where the idea of Maxbone came to place. And you know, it's an emotional customer base, and people are adopting more dogs and having kids. So it's been great. And you know, those three kind of design, experience, and quality has been our three pillars. And my goal was to kind of humanize the pet world, which started 5 years ago, and no one was using that word humanization, and it's becoming a buzzword where people are using that for everything now in the dog industry.
Crazy. And at that time, 5 years ago, had you started a business before? Did you know that you always wanted to be an entrepreneur? Or did you kind of just have the light bulb moment one day after getting your dog and then you're like, okay, this is it, into this?
No, of course. Everything sometimes fall into place. You fail in something else, and then something comes in your way. And I actually always loved fashion, which is not a great industry to be in. But you know, it's always good if you like something, always follow it, and you learn from your mistakes. So I love the fashion industry, and I got into the fashion industry. This was 10 years ago, and we created a brand, a collection. But it's such a saturated market, and we were very high end, so it was very difficult to break in. And I decided just to kind of not continue with it because it was a money burning business. And that's for me, learning production, learning business, learning wholesale was another thing that kind of led me to start Maxbone. So I always say it's you learn from your mistakes and it could lead to something else in the future.
You got the kind of quick course in how to build a business a certain way, and then you're able to take the good learnings and build Maxbone.
Exactly. And I learned the hard way.
You learned the hard way, yes. I mean, I feel like it's that classic 10 years to overnight success where people have to go through such a big journey and then they fall into their kind of new chapter, new phase. When you were getting started, what kind of investment did you need to put into the business to get to launch? And what was that launch like in terms of, did you have a lot of SKUs and a lot of products, or was it a small capsule collection? What was the kind of like picture of Maxbone in the beginning?
Yeah, it was a small capsule collection because I really didn't know what the kind of market wanted. It was something that I needed. It was a gap in my life. I didn't know that the market wanted new modern products. So I did a small collection, which was very exciting to see that just that small collection got a really great feedback. We had Disney approaching us 6 months into the company.
Oh, wow.
I know. So it just showed that we created something unique. And again, I use my, the brand that we had previously, the fashion brand, I use my experience from that and the contacts that I had regards to press, and I use that for Maxbone. So we got a small press straight away in the beginning. And the interesting thing is because we created something that was unique in the market, it was funny that we had influencers that was actually dog influencers, which are more fun than human influencers.
100%.
They were actually wearing Maxbone without charging us, and they were doing it with pleasure and they were sharing. So this is how the kind of business grew. But it was a small collection. I didn't go, I wanted to make sure because I was self-funded. I wanted to make sure that there was a demand before continuing growing the business.
Wow. And if you had to kind of put a general, amount on what you needed to put into the business to buy your first inventory, to get a website up and running and like get you to launch, what was that kind of ballpark pricing, investment rather?
For me, yeah, I mean, the investment for me was, I think it was 25,000. I started with creating a small collection. I had to do patterns, and I had to do, there were some samples that were not great, and there were some samples. So you of course have some mistakes on the way that will cost you. But I was very frugal because it was my own money, and I did it in a very kind of in a smart way. Again, use my contacts, and some of them made samples for me for free. And then I went ahead and started my own online Shopify, and I did it all by myself. There was no one who kind of did it for me. I didn't go hire a web designer. And I remember the logo. My husband always liked going big and making everything perfect, but I just jump into it, and I think that's very important to do, even if it's not perfect. It's better to just jump in and let it perfect itself rather than overthinking and creating the most amazing brand or amazing logo and then just like not doing it and missing the market. I did the label, just say it's called Maxbone. Max is my husband's name, and it was just like an overnight. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of dogs called Max. Why don't we call it Maxbone? And everybody thinks it's his business, but it's not. From there, did the logo, did the website myself. So, you can do it in a very small way. You don't have to always go big and pay a huge fortune to web designers. So yeah, started very small and grew it from there. And had, as I said, I was lucky to have influencers who were sharing it. And 6 months into the business, we had Disney approaching us. And I remember this Disney's email. I actually thought it was fake email because I thought, why are they reaching out to me? How did they hear about me? So they kept emailing me. In the end, they actually reached out to me through LinkedIn, and I realized it's not fake. So went to business headquarters, and it was so exciting. So that was like the start of the business, which was, it was very organic, and it just grew because there was nothing out there like it. And we had actually celebrities buying Maxbone, had Kylie wearing Maxbone a few months into the company. So the company grew in a very organic way, which is always amazing to have as a base.
What did Disney want to do? Did they want to do a collaboration capsule collection, or what was the vision and what happened there? Did it come to life?
Yes, it did. Yeah. So Disney wanted to do a collaboration. And the interesting thing is, for me, brand building was the most important thing. So I always place Maxbone as being this affordable luxury. So we are very different to any other pet brand. We don't see ourselves as any other pet brand. We see ourselves as an aspirational brand. And it was interesting that Disney, 6 months into the company, said exactly what I always wanted to. So we see Maxbone as a halo brand, and we love what you're doing. We love the pet industry and would love to do a collaboration with you. So we went ahead and made a collection with them, hoodies with Mickey Mouse on it. We did leashes and colors with like Mickey's head on it. And it was for Mickey's 90th birthday.
Oh, cool.
We went ahead and created this amazing collection, and they were so kind to us. They were sharing it on their Instagram where they have, millions of followers. And for me, that was our first actually collaboration. That has been kind of part of our business structure now, because what happens is that you get in front of a whole new audience in a much cheaper way than doing paid media. You're getting this brand recognition and brand placement by doing a collaboration with a very well-known brand. So after that, we actually done a lot of collaborations, and luckily we've been approached by all of them. So very, very happy.
That is so cool. Just one final kind of question on the money piece before we move in and dig further into your marketing and the collaborations and partnerships and things like that. At the beginning, were you approaching this business in the mindset of bootstrapping always, or did you always know you were going to look to raise capital, or what was your kind of mindset around the money piece?
So, I saw the business growing quite quickly, and I thought, there is this momentum we're having and we want to take market share. And this is the reason why I actually raised money to kind of grow the business a bit quicker. And organic growth is amazing. And I'm realizing that now more actually after raising money. I would love to go into more details about raising money and how it is to have investors. But I really wanted to just grow quicker and take market share because I noticed we had something unique. And when you have something unique, people are going to try to copy you. People are going to try to do what you're doing. So you just need to make sure that you're ahead of it always. So that's the reason why we raised money.
And so when you look back now, if you were to do it again the same way, would you have gone down that pathway to grow quicker and raise money? Or do you think you would have focused on organic growth and growing slower?
So, I have so much to say about this, and I'm going to try to be diplomatic to not insult investors generally as a breed. But you know what it is? It's this stigma: the more money you raise, the kind of more successful you are, and it's not the truth. You really, when you build your business, build for longevity, build for sustainable growth, and I've learned that now the hard way. It's very important to do that because you want to build a heritage brand. You don't want to build a bubble that bursts. Because when you start raising money and if you grow very quickly, you need to grow even quicker next year. And you will be burning money and you will need to constantly raise money. And the day you can't raise that money, you will fail. So when you do it in a very sustainable, organic way, you will not fail. You will always be able to go back and kind of work around things and make it work again. Finding the right investor was very important to me when I started looking at fundraising. And I was lucky to find Victoria Grace, who's a fantastic investor. This was 2019 when we raised money with her. And then when we tried to raise our Series A, this was 2020 March, where everything went on shutdown and everybody was pulling back. Everybody was very scared. So after that, we've had these turbulent years every time we tried to raise money through, COVID happening and everything else that has happened now with recession is coming and everybody's being very scared. So we had really bad experience with investors, and I say you should always be true to your mission because it's very easy to get lost when you speak to different investors because they all have their opinions. And not to be rude, but they think they're smarter than they are. And there's this there's this power trip sometimes as well, unfortunately, that, they want to pull data every time, they need something, they want to speak to you all the time. And, it takes a lot of your time and effort to do this. And you have to make sure you sniff out the time wasters and the ones that constantly they watching every brand and they want to learn about different brands and they're not true investors. They're not, and they don't have a track record. They never pull the trigger. So you have to really be kind of cautious with those type of investors and make sure that you're not wasting your time because the more time you put away towards that, you get removed from your business and actually growing the business. That is, to me, super important to having the kind of right investor. And, we've turned investors down because we just thought that they are too slow. They are too, they are looking at the wrong things that are not important. So I give an example how investors are. It's like 2 years ago when I was speaking to a guy and he was a senior guy and he told me, I don't understand why you guys are DTC, wholesale, and you have pop-up stores. You must be very lost as a brand. And I said to him in a very kind way, I said, wholesale is very important for strategic reason. It's a cheaper way to acquire customers. You get in front of a whole new audience. It's brand building for us. So we see it in a very different way than the way you're seeing it, sir. And then 2 years in, now he only invests in wholesale and DTC is dead. So this is kind of how investors are. It's like a herd mentality. I always say just like one says one thing and then they jump on it. They don't really experience it. They don't even know what really works and doesn't work. And now, people are wanting to invest in wholesale or retail and DTC is not working anymore. So I truly find a true investor is Victoria Grace from Cold Capital, who invested in us because she invested into Maxbone 5 years ago when no one else was believing in the pet industry. It was kind of boring. It was archaic. It wasn't sexy. And now, because, COVID, everybody's adopting dogs. Now investors suddenly are like, pet is what we invest in. So, find that investor like Victoria Grace, who is very smart, who understands an industry that, there is a good business besides that everybody's talking about it. It's $1 billion industry and she knew about it 5 years ago like I did. So, finding that kind of investor is the key Or to be honest, I personally now, with my own experience of speaking to so many investors, I would say grow your business organic as much as you can, own as much as percentages of the business as you can, and it just takes so much of your time and effort to constantly speaking to investors that you actually lose yourself a little bit. You lose your mission, you lose what you really started the business for in the beginning. And especially we are a small team, so every time I get pulled, it affects our business. So now I am definitely not raising money anymore, and the only money we would accept is if someone acquires Maxbone and we go under an umbrella, and it's an amazing umbrella that we know Maxbone is going to even kind of amplify quicker.
I'm so glad that you bring this up, because we've heard on the show numerous times nightmare stories about, the VC process and what can happen, especially for women going through this. And I think the big problem is in the media, we are seeing glorified, overvalued companies that are, it makes it seem like the raise is the goal, when actually the goal is, profitability or revenue in general, or whatever it might be. And so you can get caught up in that cycle of thinking, oh, like I need to raise, however many millions of dollars so I can be on Forbes or whatever it might be. And it's a vicious cycle. But yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. And actually my other question for you is, you're talking about how you need to sniff out someone who's not legitimately looking to invest. How do you actually figure out who's truly interested and not? Like, what's the actual blueprint to knowing?
Actually, just look into what investments they've done, if they've done anything recently. And there was one investor actually really wasted my time for a long time. I was looking at the most minutiae, stupid things of like, oh, the Google ads, or like the business is not run by Google ads. There's so much more that goes into it. So make sure that you look at if they have invested in anything recently, or what is their track record? Are they active, or are they looking at other brands, pet brands, or do they have another pet brand? Are they just trying to fish for information? So you just do your background search, which I didn't do for a while. I was just so excited. When you knew in the beginning, you're just so excited that these big companies want to speak to you. So I think doing your research is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as you said, as a founder, you constantly get compared with the big guys who, raised 100 million, and then you see them falling as quickly as well while you're still alive because you didn't go that road. So, as the more money you kind of raise, the harder you fall. And I think as well, it's just, as I said, it's this herd mentality. An investor raises money in something, and then they just like, they don't even do research about that brand. Is it really real? Is there really a demand, or is it just like they pay 20 million for paid ads to get the 20 million revenue that they have?
Absolutely. I think you're so spot on. You really need to do your due diligence in return before you kind of dive into any, big investor conversations. I'd love to kind of go back to those first, that first 12 months in business, those first few years, the early years of your marketing and getting the word out there. Obviously, that Disney collaboration came along and that catapulted you forward. That was a big pivotal moment, I'm sure. What else were you doing to get the word out there in those early years?
To be honest, we were self-funded the first 2 years. So, I was very careful, but we actually did pop-ups. I think the customer, when they see you on a celebrity, when they see, let's say, a billboard or a paid media ad, and then they see you in the pop-up store, you get that longevity with that customer because now they trust the brand. They love the brand. They've seen it, they've touched it, they've seen it in many places. So that is the key for actually kind of keeping a customer for a long time. And it's, as I said, it was just remarkable to see in the beginning that we got a reaction straight away. Most of the time you have to work very hard until you get the following that we had. So we were lucky to have that because it was something that was different in the market. But mostly, to be honest, we were lucky to have celebrities that were wearing it. And then social media was very important to me. So I worked on a very kind of strong social media presence, and then, having this organic growth. And that's really how the company kind of started. And I was very hands-on. I was, customer service was very, very important. I responded to everyone, made sure that, that was 100%, because that is the most important thing. Your current customers are your most valuable ones, not the ones that you constantly can acquire. And you need to look after them. So that was very important to me. So make sure you look after your customers, especially the ones that already joined, not just new ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nurturing your existing customers, absolutely key point.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the Christian Cohen partnerships and the expectations of the campaign versus the reality of how popular, wildly popular, that collaboration has become?
So funny that when we started the collaboration, because we've done collaboration with the Way suitcase, we've done collaboration with a lot of different brands. And Christian Cohen, I love him as a person. He's a lovely, lovely guy. I was like, this is very extravagant for Maxbone, Scandinavian kind of design. So I was a little bit forced against it. I'm like, how am I going to think that this kind of fits in? But now it totally fits in because I say our mission is always to make dogs and humans happy. And what this jumper does, it really makes people happy. It really has that effect. Like people wear it and they're like, people stop them on the streets. Like one of our employees, she's like obsessed with dogs. And she said, Parisa, first, I didn't know about this Christian Coven. I wasn't sure when I wasn't working for Maxbone. She said, oh my God, I love this jumper. She said, it's such a showstopper. She said, when I put it on my dog, everybody stops me. So it has this element of being really great quality. So it's not gimmicky. It has this, humanized feel to it. And it's extravagant and people just love it because it makes them happy. And, that is kind of one of the key elements. And we love this kind of connection with almost making the bond between humans and dogs even stronger. So it has that element of it. And I always say, I didn't start Maxbone to dress dogs up. That's one thing. Like I always say, I'm making clothes for practical reasons. If they go to Aspen or to New York and it's cold, I want them to kind of be warm. And dogs do actually freeze, Chihuahuas and even big dogs when they're in Aspen. You should put jackets on them. But then we do products and collaborations that actually kind of put a smile on people's face.
Is this your best selling product?
It is actually one of our top bestsellers. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. That's how I actually became to know who you were, because I have a Chihuahua and she's extremely small. And I remember seeing this on Instagram being like, oh my God, like, I don't know, I think it's too big actually for my dog, but like was browsing dog related things, saw this and was like, oh my God, it's amazing. It's one of those hook, collaborations that you can see why it does so well on social media.
Yeah, exactly. It has this viral effect.
It has the viral effect. Absolutely. I'd love to just stay on this collaboration partnerships talk just a little bit longer to understand like the framework for a collaboration. Like, how does it start? Do you be like, here's a list of our dream retailers. We reach out. What do we say? Are you cold emailing? How does a partnership actually happen when you have a new idea in your mind?
Yes. So luckily the ones that we have actually collaborated with, they reached out to us and then we turned down, of course, a lot of collaborations, but it needs to be a right fit. It needs to either be that we are very kind of the same synergy and we're very, DTC, or we, have the same aesthetic, or it's someone that we feel like this is a fun collaboration. So they have all different elements. One can be for kind of maybe revenue generating. One is for we love their audience, or one is for we kind of love the brand itself. We don't even care. It's a heritage brand. We don't care if it doesn't create a buzz. We just love the brand itself. So we want to kind of be with this heritage brand. And the process is, it's like we don't like putting too much time and effort towards that because we have so much else in the business. The process is we discuss, we design together, and it takes almost 3 months to kind of get to the launch date. And I think people are understanding this emotional aspect pets have. And that's why they want to do collaboration with Maxbone, because they know Maxbone customer is a very passionate customer. So this is why those guys want to do collaboration with us, because they want to have our followers.
Right.
It's a passionate customer base. They are very, they love their pets. They love kind of spending on their pets and with good quality products. So they want that customer base to follow them as well.
So if a brand is coming to you for a collaboration request, are they investing money as well in terms of product, in terms of marketing spend, or is that still falling on you as a brand? How does that side of things work?
So we have different type of kind of collaboration. We have, for example, Away. They bought our products. They bought it wholesale. We are doing email, marketing list together, and they sending to their customers. We're sending to our customers. So that is kind of money making for us. It's great. We're getting in front of a new audience. And then we had Disney, and Disney, of course, is kind of royalty. So it's based on we making the products. We are kind of upfronting a lot, but we are seeing Disney as a heritage brand, we're respecting Disney, and we don't mind doing that. And that always kind of generates to kind of new customers, and customers who love Disney come to Maxbone. We have to produce the items. We have to, make the products, and we are giving Disney a royalty. But that is very unique. We don't do that normally with any other brand. We don't pay royalties. We're against that. Mostly it's just kind of connecting the brands, and they buy, for example, Kuhl. We did a collaboration with Kuhl, which I actually really loved as well. And we made the products. They bought some for their website in a wholesale, and they sold it on their website, and we sold it on our website.
Interesting. Amazing. For you now in 2020, what's been working for you when it comes to marketing initiatives and acquiring new customers?
As I mentioned before, kind of brand building was a key element for me. And when you create a brand and you create this loyal following and a trust in the brand, you having a customer with a higher lifetime value, higher retention, and the customer keeps coming back instead of being an Amazon brand. So that was the first key element for me, is to create a brand. And I did that through strategic placements, I said before, and collaborations. And we've done it through pop-up stores where customers, seeing Maxbone in different places and making sure that Maxbone is kind of accessible for everyone and not just online. But what's kind of moving the needle for us right now is actually wholesale. Wholesale is a very important part of our business. And we saw that when we did our first trade show, which was in Super Zoo, which the exciting thing is we always stick out when we do something that is amongst other pet brands. And we had this amazing kind of booth, which was, it's very 2022. And then you have the rest of the booth, which is very 1980s. So Maxbone was really sticking out, and everyone was coming past our booth and like taking photos like, oh my God, who are you guys? Why haven't we never seen you? So, that strategy is very important to us now. And that is kind of our focus. And we had, Target going past our store and love the brand, and these big major retailers that we actually never approached before, but we think that they are going to be important for our future. So we are very excited about the demand we're seeing now in terms of our wholesale, because we always kind of had our wholesale very, as I said, strategic and very small and controlled. We're in Selfridges, we're in Harrods, we're in Neiman Marcus and Saks, and it's been great for our brand building. But now we're seeing the kind of big growth coming from these major retailers that we think they're fantastic. I think Target is great. I love the Target stores, and I think it's very accessible, and that's the kind of goal with Maxbone moving forward, and that's what kind of moves the needle for us.
That's so exciting. So Target's on the hit list. Target's your target.
Target's our target. We're in discussion with Target now, and we think we're going to be in Target for 2023, which is our year.
That's your year. Oh my gosh, I'm excited for you. I'm definitely over here cheering for you to get into Target. Love that. Going to be waiting for that update. At the beginning of this call, you mentioned that this year has been a bit of a roller coaster. You've had a few different challenges. Things haven't been necessarily like all the highs that everyone's been showing on the highlights reels on LinkedIn. What's been going on for you? What are the kind of challenges that you're facing that people don't see on social media?
I think, to be honest, as I said, my pet peeve has been that I wasted a lot of my time on investors, and that was very challenging, both, mentally, and you meet all these different personalities with all these different kind of backgrounds who never kind of been running a business, and you get lost sometimes when you listen to them too much. That was a challenge for me. But besides that as well, a lot of personal challenges. I've gone through IVF, and people don't realize that we're humans as well, that we have things that we go through which sometimes affect us. And I always say, I think it's easier to have a baby and run a company than actually going through IVF and running a company, because it's so challenging both mentally and physically, of like what you put your body through to go through that process, especially with what if you don't, especially if you want to have a child. And so I do recommend ladies that are listening to this podcast that building a business is very important, but if you want to have a child, think about it sooner than later. And we always kind of put our health aside, and we think about, business first, let me succeed first, let me do this first. But then when it comes to actually that what is important, you will regret it. So I think it's important to think about that sooner than later. And then having housing construction while doing it as well. You can probably see my scaffolding in the background. And, going through, as I said, economical changes as well, which is affecting everyone's mindset of like recession is coming, and, how people are around you. So yeah, there's been just constant battles with investors are like very pulling back, but we're very fussy as well. We had investors that we turned down. Just been challenging in many ways, but the good thing is like we have such a great demand, we have such a great loyal customer base, so all those kind of aspects are great. And funny, every time I feel like I'm near breaking down, which everyone does, no matter how well the business does, I always go back and read our reviews and read customer emails, or think about a really respected same industry person saying to me that Maxbone is their North Star. And those are the things again that kind of fuels me again and gets me back to get the energy of continuing. It's like almost like a Duracell rabbit. Remember the advert? Like you put the battery in and it continues. It's like so yeah, it's the same thing. It's like I love reading our reviews, and then just makes me kind of go back to why I'm doing this.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I think, anyone listening is probably sitting there, especially, even myself, thinking like, thank you so much for just being like honest and real and vulnerable to share the things that you're going through, because everyone's going through something, and we're often like having to put on a brave face and be like, our business is amazing and everything is amazing. But, when you peel back the layers, like it's tough out there, and it's hard navigating building a business and managing your life and managing your family and managing all the other things that come with the day-to-day of staying hydrated and all those kinds of things. So I really appreciate the honesty, and I'm excited for 2023 for you. I feel like this is going to be your big year.
Yeah, exactly. I actually can't wait for 2022. A lot of exciting things will happen.
Yeah, time to switch off, take a break, like enjoy some soul care, and then dive into 2023. What piece of advice do you want to leave our audience with?
I would say be vulnerable and ask questions. There's no such thing as dumb questions, and kind of define your first hires. They're the most important hires, and if they're not the right hire, please fire quicker. Don't be scared of firing. Set achievable goals. If you have investors, just be careful so you don't set goals that are not achievable. It would just hurt you. So setting achievable goals.
I love that. Thank you. So we are up to the 6 quick questions part of the episode, and some of the questions we might have already covered, but I asked them all the same because it goes into a part 2 of the episode. So question number 1 is, what's your why? Why are you getting up every single day and focusing on building Maxbone?
To be honest, is to make dogs' life better and creating a better experience for humans. And, and as I said before, connecting the bond between dogs and human and making both of them happy. And I feel like we have that effect. And, raising the bar in the pet industry, that's really is the kind of, it makes me want to really do it and gives me the energy, especially, as I said, seeing our customer reviews, seeing their feedback, seeing how much they love Maxbone, it just gives me the energy to continue.
Amazing. Question number 2 is, what has been your favorite marketing moment so far?
So our favorite marketing moment, I have to say, was our Aspen store. We had a pop-up in Aspen, which was kind of opposite Kazakh.
Oh my God, cool.
I know, it was so cool. We had it next to Goop and Chanel, and I remember we had our opening event the same day, and we created this winter destination. It was like a chalet. It was fantastic. And Mariana in my team, she's so creative. We came up with, I even actually have the cup I have to show you. We have this ski club, like coffee cups with like hot chocolate for the customers. It was just so fun. And when we had our opening event, our store was packed, and Goop and Chanel was coming in. They're like, "What are you guys doing? What do you have in here?" And I was like, "This is dogs. It's it's an emotional customer base. We're creating something that is very unique, and no one else has done this before." So customers were coming into the store, and they were just literally hanging out. So it was really fun, and it had a great momentum the entire 2 months that we were there. So that was a great actually marketing moment for us, and I always remember it. And always when we like want to be happy, we look at our Aspen photos.
Oh my gosh. And you know what this just makes me think is, like, have fun with building a business. Do the fun things. Create activations that make you light up and be happy and feel joy in what you're doing with your brand, and other people will feel it too. People enjoy a great branded experience.
That's exactly what we say, and we love that. That is kind of our forte, of creating those kind of moments, those experiences, which I think sets us apart from any other pet brand. And we have so much fun, and we see, I mean, I always say I wish I had a camera actually facing towards customers' reaction when they come into a Maxbone store. They're really just like lit up. It's like, is this a pet store? And those moments of like creating these activations of, we have so many fun ideas that we want to do for next year as well, of creating a food truck and having like, people wearing chef hats, and they think it's food for human, but it's food for dogs. So, there's so many fun things you can do. And you're so right about that. When you create that moment of fun, and we feel it, we love it, we like enjoyed, I think, more than the customers. It just, it gets the brand spirit out there.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I can't wait to see that happen. Question number 3 is, what's your go-to business resource at the moment if you're having to think about a book or a podcast or a newsletter that you're learning from?
I have to say I highly recommend the book by Scott Belsky, The Messy Middle. I really kind of resonated with that book, really enjoyed it. I do actually love your podcast. I'm not saying that just because I'm here now, but I do like that the people that you're interviewing, the founders, are very honest. They're honest about investors. They're honest about generally a lot of things. And I hate listening to podcasts where they're like, we grew 200% year over year and we did that through growth hacking. It's like, there is no growth hacking. There's so many things that goes into a business than just growth hacker. And another book that I really actually love is The Hard Thing About Hard Things with Ben Horowitz. I have it here. It's really good. So yeah, those are the two. And if I'm going to recommend another podcast, I mean, everybody knows probably about this one, is How I Built It with Guy Raz.
Yes, a classic. We love it. Such a fan. Question number 4. How do you win the day? What are your AM and PM rituals and habits that keep you feeling happy and successful and motivated?
So kind of honest truth about, I'm not very good with self-care, and I've never actually been. I've been this kind of person who maybe I'm in pain and I just continue with it. I don't even go to the doctors, which I am noticing now with getting older, that I get up 4:00 in the morning and the first thing I do is grabbing my phone, which is the worst thing you can do. But I don't stop. I just continue doing it, even if it's hurting me. But I'm realizing now, getting older, I'm starting to get pins and needles and I'm starting to get, very anxious. So I highly recommend self-care. And I recently just downloaded the app Calm. So it just shows how late I am to the game. And it is important because it's going to catch up with you sooner or later. The only thing that I do that actually makes me happy and I kind of like to get it over and done with is Barry's bootcamp.
Love Barry's.
And, get good exercise. And it always makes me happier when I'm done. So exercise does really work, even if it sounds cliche. But yeah, I think self-care is important. And I'm so happy that the new generation are realizing it more than my generation.
Absolutely. I have this real problem with my phone as well. The addiction is real. And I've tried so many different things to try and beat that, but it's still a process. It's still a journey.
Yeah, I mean, my husband wakes up, he's like, how do you even see your eyes? No wonder why you're going blind. I'm like in the dark and looking at my phone. It's like, it is an addiction. It's so weird. And it's not exactly, and then I read bad emails and I get even more anxious. 4:00 in the morning. It's not a way to start your day.
It's not the way to start the day. I agree.
Seriously, everybody follow that whole meditation, exercising, and doing things that makes us happy, because you're not going to be more effective just because you take your phone up 4:00 in the morning. It's the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Question number 5. What's been your worst money mistake in business and how much did it cost you?
So the one thing actually with our company, we're kind of very frugal and we're very careful when we have photo shoots. We're very creative. We spend $1,000 instead of spending 100,000 like some people do. We don't go and hire kind of marketing team to come up with some catchy phrase. We normally always do it ourselves. We're very creative when it comes to that. So luckily, I haven't had any big money mistakes, but I do feel like my money mistakes is like, again, spending too much time with investors, that it's taking me away from my business, and we lost revenue because of that. And I 100% believe that. And then other things as well, of like what's happening with logistic issues, of me not ordering enough inventory because of cash flow. We're too scared, not getting it on time. Like Christian Coven, the green one, it sold in one day. And I was like, why didn't I order 1,000 more? So that jumper, and it takes us 3 months to make it, and then kind of we missed the window. Lets you to have loss of revenue. So that's the way I'm seeing it. But I haven't had big money mistakes, luckily, touch wood.
Love that for you. And question number 6, last question. What is just a crazy story, good, bad, or ugly, that you can share from this journey of building Maxbone? There's
a lot of crazy things, but the most fun and lovely things that I did get that I find is crazy is a letter from Camilla and Charles. Like you did, saying, I'm going to frame it, I'm going to hang it above my bed, saying that they adore the brand and they love what we're doing. And they were saying that they they have rescues and things like that. So that letter means the world to me. So that was a crazy thing.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Could have got lost. So I mean, I was like, oh, this is so nice. And how can the handwritten note from Camilla and Charles? And I could have lost that mail because it came in this little envelope stamped.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh, you need to send them all the all the products. Have their dogs in a Christian Cohen sweater.
I would love that. The royal family rocking Christian Cohen.
Yeah, I love that. Or the Queen's corgis. That would be so cute.
I know. All of them in pink Christian Cohen.
Oh my gosh, we need to make that happen next year. 2023.
That's going to be my big marketing thing next year.
Parisa, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show and share your journey and all the, all the stuff that comes with building a business and how hard it can really be. I really appreciate your honesty and your vulnerability. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well.